Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's session on avoiding errors in performance rating. We're so excited to provide a work environment with open communication. My name is Izzy, and I'm the Marketing and Client Care Coordinator at Lightwork Software, but I also handle a lot of our internal employee communication and wellness. I love working with my coworkers, and I want to make sure that they have the best work environment possible so they can succeed not only professionally, but also personally. This webinar, we're going to go over the common errors in performance rating, and I hope that you'll find some great tools to avoid them and also implement them in your workplace as well to empower your employees. As a reminder, we are recording this webinar, so if you miss anything or have to leave early, we will send the recording afterwards, and it'll also be up on our website. With that being said, I'm going to turn it on over to Morgan, my amazing coworker and friend. You are up, Morgan.
Thank you, Izzy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Morgan Lacey, and I'm an account manager for Lightwork Software. I spend my days working with companies to create a more efficient and effective performance management process. And today we're going to review some of the common rating errors that reviewers make during the performance management process. Just a quick agenda here. I'm going to be reviewing what the common errors are and the effect that they have on employee performance, as well as discussing how you can avoid these errors and some tips that you can share with managers to help them avoid these rating errors in the performance management process. Performance management can often feel like more of an obligation than an opportunity to engage with employees. When managers and leadership teams participate in performance reviews and they're just looking to get through them rather than taking the time to fairly and accurately rate employees, it defeats the purpose of the performance review process. Many of the reviewers that are just trying to get through the review process instead of taking the time to accurately review employees' performance tend to fall into the central tendency error when rating employees. This rating error clusters everyone into the middle performance categories, such as meets expectations. Reviewers tend to give this rating when they're wanting to avoid giving good or bad ratings. This allows reviewers to coast through the review process by not providing any real feedback. Unfortunately for employees who experience the central tendency error rating, they are not able to get the valuable feedback they need to grow as an employee. Reviewers who rate with central tendency are taking away the recognition for employees who are exceeding expectations and could be causing them to not get the promotion or recognition that they deserve. When reviewers avoid the needs improvement rating in an effort to avoid having to give an explanation, they're also not allowing employees to receive feedback that would allow them to develop themselves professionally. The performance management process loses a lot of value when raters group everyone together in the middle. The data from the review cycles are not valid and don't show a clear picture of who is succeeding and who needs additional support within a workforce. Another common rating error is favoritism. This error occurs when the rater only acknowledges the positive attributes of an employee. Although acknowledging positive things about an employee is important, it's also important to acknowledge that employees have areas of weakness, and reviewing those areas is an important part of developing employees. When raters use favoritism, they're actually not helping the employee. This rating error doesn't allow employees to receive the feedback on areas where they might need additional professional development. When raters are rating based on favoritism, you find another example of where the data from the performance review cycle doesn't correctly represent employee performance. The next common error is called the horn effect. This rating error occurs when raters base their review off of one bad instance with the employee. Whether the bad instance is personal or professional, it shouldn't be the sole factor of rating an employee's performance. This is something I think that people struggle with because it's something they can do unconsciously and allow it to affect the overall rating of the employee. This can unfortunately tarnish the dynamic between the employee and the reviewer and take away the validity of the performance review, as well as lead to and inappropriate dismissal of an employee. I do want to mention that the opposite of this error is the halo effect, which is basing the overall rating off of one positive instance. Either side of this error doesn't allow for a true performance review, and again, does not reflect accurate results from the performance review cycle. The last common error I want to cover is recency. This error occurs when the rater is basing the performance review on what they most recently remember. I think this is probably the easiest error to make, and it's not always easy to remember what happened with each employee throughout the year, so this bias can make or break a performance review. As I mentioned before, performance data should be representative of the entire review period, and when reviewers are only including what they can recently remember, it does not give a true picture of the employee's overall performance. This can lead to employees disengaging and a decrease in productivity as all the work is not being acknowledged. These common errors when rating employees are usually not a conscious decision, but they can make a big impact on how companies are viewing their employees and their ability to grow. All right, just a quick poll here for everybody. Which of the common performance rating errors have you experienced? Maybe the favoritism or the horn effect. Just wonder if anybody has ever experienced these, and we'll give everybody a little bit of time to answer that, and Izzy will let us know.
Got about half of everybody voted so far. I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds here for everybody to get their votes in. All right, it looks like it's literally all the way across the board. Everyone has experienced at least one of these.
Nice. Well, I'm not surprised, but that's what we're here to talk about today and try to help avoid those and share with other people on your team how you can help avoid this. So thank you so much, Izzy. I appreciate it. All righty. So let's get into some of the ways that you can avoid these common error ratings in performance management. So we're going to go back to the top with the central tendency error. A great way to make an effort to help raters avoid grouping all employees in the middle is to make sure all the questions are clear. When raters aren't sure if they understand the question, they're more likely to give a rating that doesn't require an explanation. Making sure that the questions have focus and purpose makes it easier for the reviewers to understand what the company is looking to determine from the question. It's also important to prepare and adapt your questions regularly. This ensures that the performance reviews are including questions that are going to give insight into what the company is needing to know about their workforce. Another way to help avoid central tendency in performance management is including only the essentials on the review. And by that, I mean only include the questions you need to determine an employee's current standing with their performance. Reviews with more than 50 questions can lose reviewers' interest and guide them towards grouping all the employees' performance together just to get through the process. In an effort to be proactive, providing managers the tools to document year-round performance details for each employee provides them with an overview of the employee's entire review cycle and allows them to rate based on the performance details they have documented throughout the year. The journal feature inside of Lightwork Performance allows managers to document and organize employees' observable behavior, including details such as title and type, and even including attachments. All right, next we have avoiding favoritism. Workplace friendships are very important, but with the friendship dynamic, it can make it easy to lean towards the favoritism error without even realizing it. When leaders and managers are reviewing their employees, there are a few ways that you can help them avoid allowing their positive personal feelings about the employee to affect the review of their performance. The first way that you can avoid this is by making mutual expectations for all employees when it comes to what questions are included on their review. Ensuring that all performance reviews for employees with the same job description are having the same expectation of performance being set. Another way to avoid favoritism is making an effort to spot moments of recognition. Every employee deserves a chance to have their hard work recognized. Setting aside time each week to review employees' progress to determine who has accomplished their goals or completed their tasks. This gives managers the chance to engage and document positive performance for every employee. Light work performance allows managers to easily monitor employees' tasks and goals with details such as priority, status, and percentage of goal complete. Light work is providing the tools that managers need to give them insight into employees' performance efforts. This creates an environment that recognizes and acknowledges hard work. One thing to keep in mind when recognizing employees is it is important to maintain a proper reward system. Setting a criteria as to what is the mark for recognition and reward can help managers avoid giving different rewards to employees who have made the same achievements. It's important to include all employees in the reward program and make sure that the reward is based off of something measurable to ensure that the reward is given when the goal is reached. An example of something that can be measured to determine if a reward is due could be things such as the most goals reached in a set time frame, or maybe employees' overall performance. Setting these goals and rewarding employees for accomplishing them helps engage employees in their work and motivates them to meet these goals. Favoritism isn't always a conscious effort when reviewing employees, but it's important to not allow personal positive feelings to affect ratings, and it's also important to give all employees a fair chance of having their hard work recognized, no matter what their personal dynamic is with reviewers. Next up, we have the horn effect. So again, this is allowing one bad instance to affect an employee's overall rating. The first one, I'm sure everyone can probably guess, but it's an important one. The first effort to avoid the horn effect should be documenting performance. Everyone makes mistakes, and if that mistake causes a manager frustration, it's easy for that one bad situation to cast a shadow on the rest of the employee's performance when the frustrated manager is reviewing them. Utilizing journals inside of light work performance allows managers to go back and reference the employee's entire review cycle, providing them with proof that the employee that they might have been frustrated with did have some good moments during the year, and it's important to keep those in mind as they're reviewing them. Another great way to proactively avoid the horn effect is having regular touch points with employees. Whether it's once a week or once a month, checking in with employees and reviewing their progress and allowing them to share their suggestions or even their struggles can allow managers to develop employees by engaging with them. Light work performance supports 30, 60, and 90-day reviews, as well as new hire surveys. And you can schedule as many touch points as you want for your leadership team and for your employees and their managers. This gives managers the opportunity to engage with employees in a positive way that can be referenced when reviewing their performance. And as with favoritism, it is important to acknowledge the existence of the horn effect when discussing the performance process with reviewers. This helps keep it top of mind when participating in reviews and in an effort to avoid the unconscious decision to let one bad day affect the employee's overall performance rating. All right, next we have avoiding the recency error. This can be a difficult thing for managers when they have a lot of employees to review. Giving managers the tools to document positive and negative performance throughout the year allows them to go back and reference everything that has happened, not just the last few months of the review cycle. Again, documenting regular touch points are important here as it gives employees and managers the ability to review and discuss the employee's performance together. This allows employees to share things they might have accomplished that the manager might not be aware of. Light work performance allows employees to participate in self-assessments, which gives them the opportunity to share where they see themselves performance-wise and share things that they would like their manager to keep in mind as they're reviewing them. This also allows employees to be an active participant in the review process. Providing managers with the tools they need to document and reference an employee's performance allows for a more true review process and a proactive approach to avoiding performance errors. All right, our next poll here. Which of the errors do you think is the most difficult to avoid? And we'll go ahead and let everybody take some time to answer that, and then Izzy will let us know.
We are about halfway through everyone voting again. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds to let the last few people get their votes in. All righty. It looks like the majority said recency, and then there's a few votes for favoritism as well.
Like I said, I think recency is probably one of the it's very common to run into recency. Like, again, it's hard to remember everything that happens throughout the year. So that's why we really are trying to really promote the fact that documenting is helping avoid all of these errors. So thank you so much, Izzy. I appreciate that. All right, before we get wrapped up here today, I want to share some tips that you can share with managers to help them avoid these performance rating errors. The first is building awareness. I talked a little bit about this with the Horn effect, that it's important to be aware of these common errors. Taking the time to review these common errors with reviewers will allow them to keep them top of mind when participating in a review. Next is reducing the reliance on memory. As I reviewed the ways to avoid common rating errors, you probably noticed that documenting performance was always a factor. Documenting observable behaviors is a great way to have managers engage in their employees' performance, as well as give them the details that they need to give an accurate review of the employee. Next is reminding managers to focus on professional goals and objectives when reviewing employees. An employee's personal life should not be included when reviewing an employee's professional performance. A great way to set the foundation for professional goals is following the SMART goal method. Goals should be specific and include tasks to provide a clear path for employees to follow. Goals should also be measurable. This allows managers to easily determine who is achieving their goals, as well as provide employees a way to determine their own progress. It's also important to ensure that goals are attainable. This might be the most important step for goal setting, as it allows managers to engage with employees to ensure they have the skills and knowledge to achieve their goals. Making sure goals are relevant and those will help keep employees motivated and engaged, and providing a timeline for the goals sets expectations and allows employees to prioritize their tasks in an effort to meet due dates. Having professional goals that are tracked and maintained by employees and managers creates a dynamic that promotes open and ongoing communication. Providing the tools that managers need to track employee performance year-round is an investment into the employee experience, and it can help engage and retain employees. Avoiding the errors that we've covered today will create a more accurate review of an employee's performance and allow employees to get the feedback that they need and give companies the ability to make more informed decisions. All right, one last poll for us here today. After learning all about these common errors and ways to avoid them, do you feel more prepared to avoid these common performance rating errors? And we'll go ahead and let everybody answer that.
We are about halfway through everyone answering again, so I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds. All righty, it looks like almost everybody said yes.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. We are happy to always answer questions about these common rating errors. I do spend a lot of time with companies going through their performance management process and understanding what they're trying to achieve and what questions they need to be asking, and also just preparing their team to be part of those reviews and what to look out for. So thank you so much, Izzy. All right, last but not least, thank you for joining the Lightwork team today to learn about how to avoid errors in performance management. I hope you enjoyed your time with us and you're able to take some of this information back to your team. Please be on the lookout for our next webinar is October 19th. And please keep up with us on LinkedIn. We share all of our blog posts there and all of our upcoming webinars, and we'd love for you guys to come back and join us. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions.